everyone, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be sharing how to make a DIY Christmas beach scene. But before we get to that, I want to make sure to remind you to follow me across social media. Those links are going to be in the description box below. Also, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to my channel, and you can click the like button down below if you like this video. That always helps. So for my card today, I'm going to be using this Joy Clear stamp set. It's called Penguin Tropical Christmas, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's full of tropical Christmas greetings and images and a little penguin too that you can dress up. So before I did anything to this card, I needed to stamp a bunch of these images and cut them out. So I stamped with the VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, and I fussy cut each one. I do want to remind you, though, that if you have an electronic cutting machine, any Joy Clear stamp set you buy, you automatically get the free SVG cut file downloads. So you don't have to do anything extra. You don't have to pay anything extra. Those just automatically are given to you, so you don't have to do any fussy cutting. I went ahead and did my fussy cutting, though. I actually don't mind it. I like to do it. So I did that actually while I was waiting in line to pick up my daughter from preschool, and I went ahead and brought these home, and then it was time to color. So I'm using alcohol markers, which is why I use my VersaFine Clair ink. Use whatever ink you like that works well with alcohol markers or whatever coloring medium you decide to use. You do want to make sure that you think about that before you start stamping, about how you're going to color these in. Like I said, I'm using alcohol markers. I'm using the Dick Blick Studio brush markers, and I'm just coloring these in. This is nothing fancy. I'm doing 2 or 3 colors. How I like to do my coloring is start with the lightest, then come in with my medium, then my darkest, then go back to my lightest color and blend everything out. That's just how I like to color, but there are so many different ways, and there are a lot of great teachers online, and I am not one of them. So I went ahead and sped that up really quickly to get through this. There are a few more things that I want to cut to put on my card. I used a Hill border die to go ahead and die cut a craft cardstock. Then I'm going to use a wave border die to die cut a piece of blue cardstock. I did make my wave a little bit taller than my craft because I want that craft to be a sandy shore. I also need to make a little bit of a sky background. So I have a piece of heavyweight white cardstock. This is 4 inches by 5 1/4. I just taped it down to keep everything in line and also give me a nice starting point for where I needed my sky to be. Then I'm using a Clarity stencil brush and the Salty Ocean Distress ink and just putting down some ink. This is nothing fancy. Again, you can use your mini ink blending tool. I just wanted this to be nice and soft, so I used the stencil brushes. Now every once in a while I'm going to bring my wave border and my little craft border over and make sure that I've got it high enough, the sky blended high enough, and also the intensity where I want it. So I can keep going back in as many times as I want to, bring the ink up a little bit, deepen it up if I want to, until I'm happy with the end results. Then I wanted to add a little bit more to these die cuts, so I'm using that same Salty Ocean Distress ink on my wave border die and just buffing the edges with my mini ink blending tool. Not a lot of ink. This just puts a very light layer of color on. It's going to deepen up those edges, give it a little bit more depth, and just add a little bit something extra so it doesn't look so stark on the cardstock and on the card when it's all finished. I also used a little bit of Vintage Photo on the piece of craft cardstock. I went a little bit deeper and a little bit heavier handed with this, right along that cut edge again. Now that's pretty much all the pieces that I'm going to be putting on this card for now. So what I decided to do was start putting it together and then decide where I wanted my sentiment to go because I wasn't quite sure yet. So I added some double-sided adhesive to the back of my little sand panel is what this is, and I attached it to my wave border die. Now this one is shorter, so I want it to go in front, and then I have some adhesive already on the back of my wave border die that I'll go ahead and take the backing paper off of that and put that onto the panel that I had Distress ink blended the sky onto. So I'll just line that up very quickly and place that down. You want to make sure this is nice and lined up so everything can go on your card and look nice. Now it was time to start putting the scene together. I started with my palm tree on the left hand side, and I'm adding fun foam, I should say, to all of these pieces. So I put down the base of the tree first, and then I'm going to add all those different leaves. Now the leaves I colored in two different ways. Some are darker, some are lighter. So I'm just going to mix and match here and place them every which way. I just thought doing two different colors of leaf would add a little bit more interest to this card. On each one of these leaves, I am adding little pieces of fun foam and just placing those down wherever I think it needs a little something extra. Now this tree is also going to have some coconuts that I already stamped and colored too. These are each, the first one is going to have a little bit of just regular glue. I should say all of them are going to have regular glue. I didn't want to add any more dimension to this. I already have it through the base of the tree and through the leaves. So I just added regular glue and popped those right into that tree. There's a closer look at that so you can kind of see the different levels everything is on. It's got a lot of dimension. I just love the way it turned out, especially with those two different colors of leaves. Now for the little penguin, I'm going to go ahead and dress, this is a her up. I stamped the little shell swimsuit top on the penguin itself. I needed the lines that attach everything to the penguin and together to go ahead and be stamped on there, so I didn't have to cut those out. I just cut out the shells. I attached the shells with some fun foam, and then I'm going to go ahead and take that little grass skirt, put some more fun foam on it, and attach it to the penguin as well. I love the way this turned out. It is so cute. Now for this sentiment, I decided to go ahead and die cut a flag banner from some white cardstock. I stamped my sentiment with the same VersaFine Clear ink, and then I'm just going to line it up and place it down on my card panel. I did right off to the right hand side go ahead and put my little penguin on the flag banner just to tie everything together. There is a closer look at that all finished up. Then it was time to move on to putting the panel on. So I have my card base. This is an A2 white cardstock top folding card base. I made this one myself. I just attached some regular double-sided adhesive to the back of this panel, and I'll place it right down onto the front of the card base. It's got a little bit of a border around it. Then it was time to move on to the inside of the card. I stamped the warm Christmas wishes right in the center of the inside of the card with the same VersaFine Clear Nocturne ink. And this is one of my favorite inks to stamp sentiments with. Not only stamped images that I colored in, but the sentiments too. It turns out so crisp and clear. Then I also stamped some of those coconuts just on either side of the little sentiment that I stamped on the inside. Now I didn't want to color these in with alcohol markers and have that bleed through on the back, so what I decided to do was go ahead and take one of my Arteza watercolor brush markers. This is just a brown color, and then I color it in very quickly with my coconuts. Now this is not going to be the smoothest color. You can always use colored pencils here or anything like that, or you can inlay a panel on the inside and color with alcohol markers. Then you won't have the bleed through on the back of the card. I didn't want to go that route, so I just grabbed my watercolor marker and colored those in very quickly. That finishes off the entire card. I love the way this one turned out, and it's so different from my other Christmas cards that I've made this year. That does it for me today. There are going to be links on the left side of your screen you can click on. You can also subscribe to my channel over there. Thank you guys so much for watching today, and happy crafting.